A distraction, waste of time, and mean-spirited. Those are some of the ways Governor John Bel Edwards described a transgender sports bill and the veto session that focused heavily on it.
Now, that session ended yesterday with all vetoes intact. It's political victory for the governor, but it also indicates more partisanship to come. Tan Trung puts that in focus tonight.
Governor John Bel Edwards didn't so much wag his finger at the Republicans behind Louisiana's first ever veto session, but he certainly pointed it at them.
This session didn't happen because I asked for it.
Edwards vetoed 28 bills from the regular legislative session. Republicans failed to override even one veto. Eyewitness News political analyst Clancy Dubose says the scoreboard tells the story of the short-lived session.
The governor is a big winner. The Republican leadership are big losers.
Senator Beth Meisel's bill to block transgender athletes from competing on girls' teams in schools drew the most attention.
This bill is about one thing. It's saying a biological woman has the right to compete in sports against a biological woman.
But it got more complicated. Most Louisiana Democrats pointed out no trans athlete has even tried to play on a girls' team in the state. They said the bill was a solution looking for a problem. Other red states have passed similar laws, but unlike them, Louisiana is led by the only Democratic governor in the South. Dubose says there will be more partisan showdowns, but Edwards has displayed he's got enough influence to check the Republican majority.
This doesn't turn things upside down. Republicans still hold a very sizable majority, but they don't have enough of a majority to just run wild.
Specifically for the transgender sports bill, economics collided with politics. Many in the business community felt that if the bill became law, the state would lose events and money.
It wasn't just losing the Final Four, which alone is $170 million economic impact, but other conventions and corporations that were just not going to come here.
The governor said the controversy around the trans sports bill took focus away from real issues, like the increase in cases of COVID in the state.
It's to limit the people who are getting infected, going to the hospital, and dying. Unfortunately, that's been squeezed out of the conversation as well.
Edwards is planning a Friday news conference about the pandemic, which, as we've seen for more than a year, is mired in partisan politics too. Tan Trung, Eyewitness News.
And the Speaker of the Louisiana House of Representatives says veto sessions should become part of the norm from now on. He also added Republicans plan to revive the transgender sports bill next year.